Hello, thank you everyone for being here today. This is the third in a series of webinars conducted by the Coalition of Sustainable Communities New Mexico. This one is on the topic of the Connect program of the city of Santa Fe and Santa Fe County. And the goal of this series of workshops is developing actions that can increase access to the benefits of energy efficiency for low-income households. The first workshop that we had back in April was an introduction to the various energy efficiency stakeholders within New Mexico, the implementers who are doing this work throughout the state. The second workshop was deeper discussions around the work they're doing, some of the challenges, and potential ideas for increasing the scope and impact of those programs. And the presentations and the recording for the second workshop can be found, the first workshop, I'm sorry, they can all be found on the Coalition's website at coalitionscnm.org/roundtables. And for those of you who weren't able to participate in those first workshops, I just wanted to give you the context of the need and potential impact of energy efficiency within New Mexico. So this slide here shows the average energy burden for different segments of the population grouped according to their area median income of the household. And energy burden is the amount of income that a household spends to pay for energy in the form of primarily electricity and gas utility bills. And as you can see from this graphic here, there is this large population, over close to 150,000 households in New Mexico, that have an average energy burden of upwards of 15% of their income. The average for most households, and the most households in New Mexico, is around 2% of their income goes for paying energy bills. And for this segment of the population that's spending upwards of 15%, then you add in the transportation costs, which may be another 15%, and then you add in rent or mortgage, and there really isn't much income left for anything else. And so this just discloses the huge impact that reducing electricity bills can have for low-income households. And one area that this can be done is through energy efficiency programs. And there's a wonderful model that's being piloted by the Philadelphia Energy Authority. It's called the Built to Last program. And there's many similarities between the context of Philadelphia and the context of New Mexico. In Philadelphia, there are high poverty rates and also high rates of home ownership. There, the federally funded weatherization assistance program, which we learned about in one of our earlier workshops, there's the same program here in New Mexico. In Philadelphia, there's typically a 50% denial rate for households to participate because they have structural issues or they have mold that prevent the program from going in and doing the insulation and other pieces that they would normally do because their program can't pay for these initial structural issues. And these issues can be solved through other programs, but these programs often don't talk to each other. And so it's really important to figure out how to get these different pieces lined up so that the structural issues can get repaired, so then the energy efficiency programs can do their work. And it's very difficult for a homeowner that is in crisis to figure out all of the different programs that they qualify for, and then go through the application project process and connect to those services. And therefore, they created this, are in the process of rolling out something they're calling a Built to Last program, in which the first step, they do a benefit screening for a household, and they figure out all of the different needs that household might have, and what benefits they're eligible for. Then they send out an expert that can go and assess the property and see what sort of needs have to be carried out in order to improve the living conditions and energy efficiency of the home. And then they actually manage that process of scheduling the different program heads to come out and implement the work on the household. And this is all therefore streamlined into one kind of a one-stop shop that the distressed homeowner first comes to. And what you guys are going to see in the coming presentation is here in Santa Fe, in Santa Fe County, there's already the infrastructure, already a program that is and it's called Connect, that is connecting homeowners to all the vast network of nonprofits and other service organizations that would be able to fulfill the needs of a homeowner. In the context here today, as you learn about this program, there's many folks on this call that are from a utility or do energy efficiency work, is to think about how can you and your organization plug into this existing network to connect and augment the programs and services that are being offered. And we are fortunate enough to have with us today Jennifer Romero, who is the Healthcare Assistance Administrative Program Manager from Santa Fe County, and Jolie Sanchez, the Division Director for Community Health and Safety Department and the Youth and Family Services Division for the City of Santa Fe.
So Connect is really kind of the larger project that is serving the community. Navigators are the people in these agencies sending and receiving referrals and coordinating care for community members seeking assistance. We have an online referral platform that we use called Unite Us, and it's used to open cases, make referrals, and get clients the array of services that they're seeking. We also have and fund safety net services, which are services that also fulfill the agency's mission. So that's kind of the other programmatic things that the agency may do on top of navigation.
We are also a New Mexican model. So 4 years ago, when we first applied for some funding, we actually applied to Centers for Medicare and Medicaid and did not receive the grant. However, we did have some funding and we decided let's move forward with this, but do it in a way that really serves our community. I would say at the foundation of Connect is the relationships that we have developed. It's very important to know who we're referring our individuals to. It's important that organizations are able to know who they are, who and what they're referring to. So many times we hear a presentation or we get materials and then that's it. What we really want to encourage is, one, navigators to know each other, organizations to know what resources are available, and to be able to make connections between each other, feeling like I'm going to send this individual over and they're going to get the service they need because I know Julie and Julie knows me. And it was really the foundation of Connect. Resource Smart, we are sure to share the resources within the community. I may be very wealthy in the area of food, but I might not have as much resources in the utility area or know all of the resources that are available. So we really lean on each other. Each organization, you know, I can provide this if you can provide that, and vice versa. We're connected. We do meet once a month. All of our organizations come together once a month, all of our navigators, and we learn from each other. Like I said, there's always new resources or lack of resources. So we're able to talk about what's available, what's not available, what's new, what's changed, so we can stay up to date and be able to better serve the individuals in our community. It's ground up. We really built Connect from a place of learning from the individuals that we serve and the people that are on the ground. So our navigators are working with individuals on a daily basis. They tell us what's needed. They tell us what resources are lacking or what we need, what the gap is. So many times we have evolved because of the feedback that we get from our navigators and the individuals that we serve. Then we make the suggestions to our higher ups and find funding and programming for whatever resource it is that we need.
And so we do have a shared vision, and that shared vision is that all city and county residents, regardless of income, have access to high quality healthcare and are linked to the resources they need for health and well-being.
We'll go over our timeline as briefly as possible, but we started back in 2017. Like I said, we did apply for a grant, we didn't receive it, and decided to move forward in the best way that served our community. In 2018, we selected Unite Us as our electronic referral management platform, and then launched that in 2019. It was April 3rd of 2019. I remember I was south for a conference, and they were waiting for us to get back into town because we wanted to be here in Santa Fe when it happened. We were also given our name, Connect. So again, we're an accountable health community model. Our name here in Santa Fe is Connect. We also at that time partnered with the city of Santa Fe. And I will let Julie continue on from here.
Yeah, so the city joined in 2019. We had this we've always chosen priorities for the way that we fund our nonprofit organizations. And so when we thought about the accountability or the accountable health community model, and really thought about health, not in the sense of physical health, but thinking about like health of the place, of the environment, of, you know, well-being, emotional, physical, mental, it really made sense for the city to be part of Connect, because so much of what we prioritize is matching the model of Connect and the accountable health communities. And so we joined in 2019. We brought along about 40 nonprofit providers, which included expanding children and youth services in Connect. And it was a really exciting time for us. And again, it's another piece of that evolution and growing of the Connect network. In 2020, we did sign an official MOU with the Santa Fe County to formalize our partnership. And as you all know, in 2020, we entered into the COVID pandemic, and that really kind of forced some evolution on the Connect part. It was a time, you know, for reflection and change, and of course, addressing some of our community's most dire needs. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the slide. In 2020, we also developed our Connect logo. And this was developed in partnership, not only with leadership, but also with our community partners. and some of our on the ground folks. So this is our logo. It's fantastic. We did receive permission from the Pueblo of Zia to use the Zia sun symbol, and we're really grateful for that. And of course, in 2021, we are, continuing to grow. We're continuing to learn. We're continuing to evolve. We do have a 211 call center that's going to be coming soon. And then we're also developing a Connect Wellness Fund. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. So Connect is very large and very connected. We have roughly about 60 programs between, we have 60 programs that are part of the network. We have roughly about 200 navigators. COVID did add an additional 14 or so programs that continue to use Connect. And it's been a pretty amazing growth over the last year.
This is a snapshot of some of our data. So since we launched our platform in April 2019, we've served 5,767 unique individuals. You can see here, housing and shelter continues to be our largest need. And that's followed by income support and food assistance. Every so often, those two will, food assistance will kind of creep up a little, and they're usually close to a tie. Our self-referral portal has received 3,388 assistance requests since it was made available in April of 2020, which is pretty significant. And again, this the self-referral portal was in response to the pandemic. We made that available because individuals weren't going out into the community. They couldn't, basically. And prior to the pandemic, the way into Connect was through one of our partner organizations. So this was a plan for the future. We were thinking maybe 2 years out, but when the pandemic hit, we were pushed really to move forward to serve our community, so that individuals could self-refer into Connect from the comfort and safety of their home. To the far right is all the different areas that individuals have needed assistance. But again, housing, shelter, income support, and food are at the top there.
So Connect really breaks down the silos in our community. And this is information that we received directly from our grantees. They believe that the network of navigators and grantees has created a community of support across agencies, and this improves the outcomes of the clients they serve. And so just, a couple quotes from them. We feel a part of this community of organizations and helpers. It is enormously valuable for me, for our organization, and for their clients. So in Connect, immediate needs are met. So Connect and the Unite Us platform help meet the needs of community members in a streamlined way. So it allows for a lot of flexibility to pay for many items, household items, to support people with what they need when they need it. And this will connect into our conversation a little bit more about the Wellness Fund. And so this is really a collaboration for the greater good. So increasing knowledge of other resources in the community has allowed grantees to serve more people. And thinking about your slide, Christian, about the Built to Last program, one of the bullet points I noticed was that it was difficult for homeowners in crisis to understand and navigate the services they may qualify for. And really Connect is built to be that platform for community members who are not only in crisis, but who also just need, who just may need resources in our community. We've tried to make it as approachable in multi-languages as much as we can, and we've really tried to make it as inclusive as possible. And so this is increasing knowledge of other resources in the community, and has been able to serve our community much more efficiently. And this is a partnership between, you know, not only our agencies, but also our nonprofit agencies, who offer a myriad of services, including helping with rent. Some of our agencies that we've recognized may not be experts in the field of food security, but we do have folks in Connect that they can refer them to that can help jumpstart getting clients food secure, whether that means having them access SNAP benefits or giving them reoccurring food boxes. Really the collaboration and Connect is, you know, to help our most vulnerable community members.
So when the pandemic hit in March of last year, Connect was set up in a way where we could be able to distribute funds quickly and efficiently. It was I would say we did onboard new organizations and we were all pushed probably to our limits, but we were able to do so much. In the first part of the pandemic, Santa Fe contributed 305,000 and the city of Santa Fe contributed 275,000 to the Connect network. Later on that year, we received CARES Act funds. And between Santa Fe County and the city of Santa Fe, a total of 7.6 was distributed through the Connect network. Of the city's 5.1 contribution, 3.5 was used for direct cash assistance. And included in the county's 2.4 million contribution, 147,000 supported 18,000 grocery bags for rural areas of the county and 2,626 grocery bags delivered to people identified as homebound. That specific homebound program came from a need that we heard from our navigators. Meals on Wheels, both for city and county, were very limited during COVID. They were unable to do they were limited in their services. There were other programs throughout the city and county that previously would take an individual to the grocery store or provide other services. But again, because of COVID, all of that came to a halt. So we started to hear from our navigators, you know, there's a gap in services. There are individuals that don't qualify for Meals on Wheels or any other program. They don't have transportation and they're hungry. Through that, we developed the Hope for the Homebound program. We partnered with the Food Depot, and that program is still going today. Our funding ends at the end of this fiscal year. However, the Food Depot is continuing on with the service, which again just speaks to the sustainability and the need. This shows you a timeline around housing services. So you'll see down there at the bottom that, let's see, April 2019 is when we launched the platform. So you'll see, you know, numbers are very low there. And as you continue on, housing needs increase. Pandemic hits, it went very high. And now we're kind of getting back to some steady levels. However, again, you see that housing and shelter, emergency housing and utilities, it looks like emergency housing and utilities, they're a little bit more in line. Housing and shelter is, you know, a huge need. But throughout the pandemic, I could attest that utilities, housing and shelter are the #1 need of our community. So we always talk about, you know, the need, but what's resolved through Connect. This kind of gives you an idea of those areas and how much we were able to resolve. So if you look at 2019 through 2020, that's 11 months, we had 770 individuals who made requests for assistance through Connect. Then the pandemic hits, then we get busy. from December 31st, I'm sorry, from March to December 31st of 2020, that's 10 months, so 1 month shorter, we received 4,000 individuals who made requests, which is over a 5-fold increase. So when I say it got busy, it was very, very busy. Again, we were able to resolve quite a bit. 75% of our housing needs were resolved. 96% of our food needs were resolved. 91% of our income support needs were resolved, and 90% of our utility assistance requests were resolved.
So this kind of plays into the question we just received about what's done when a request is received. Thanks, Ken. So Connect right now has an any door approach. So right now, there is a self-referral portal that individuals in the community can go to. They can click on the link and fill out an application for Connect services. There's also navigators at any Connect organization that are currently funded. So Santa Fe Recovery Center, St. Elizabeth, Interfaith, Las Cumbres, there's 60 programs in the community. So you're likely to find a navigator at least one nonprofit in Santa Fe. And then right now there's also a 211 call center coming in. So when we do receive a referral, for example, Jennifer was just talking about the enormous jump in COVID-19 related referrals. So a lot of those came from our individual portal. So once somebody fills out an application, we do have what's called hub navigators. We have English and Spanish speaking hub navigators that will pick up the referral, contact the individual, and do a screening. And that screening is really based on the social determinants of health. So it can go over housing, and it's not just housing as in homelessness, but housing as in, do you have mold in your house? Is your house safe? It also goes over transportation. It goes over interpersonal safety. It goes over employment, education, because what we found out is just because you're looking for food access and maybe you're hungry doesn't mean that there isn't a myriad of other services that you also may need. You may not have health insurance. You may live in a home that has a leaking roof and the roof has been leaking for, 5 years and it's at risk of collapse. So once the navigator assesses the client, they're able to look at referrals within the Connect system. So that could mean a referral to the Food Depot to get somebody signed up for SNAP. That could mean, signing somebody up for childcare. It could mean signing somebody up for some utility payments. And so this is kind of where the fit of the Wellness Fund really fits in to some of those or some of those needs that may not be immediately addressed. The Wellness Fund is, again, another collaborative partnership between the city and county that is basically acting like a large flexible fund. Clients who are engaged in Connect could qualify for funds to support any kind of emergent need, anything from new tires on a car to maybe there was a domestic violence incident and a door got knocked down, and in order to keep the family safe, a new door and new locks need to be installed on that door. There's so many different needs in the community that just need to be addressed differently than how we have. I recently had a request for fixing a transmission, and it was basically the means of a individual not being able to show up to work and not being able to pick up their kids, possibly losing their job. And so that fix of that, transmission that we got a really good deal on was really kind of the teetering point of this young parent who may or may not have been able to keep her employment, who may not have been able to keep rent on their apartment, who may then end up homeless or in a really serious precariously housing situation. So having the flexible funding to be able to support our community members is really big. And we actually found out how important that was through COVID. And being able to be flexible with the CARES Act money, being able to do direct cash payments to individuals, being able to do payments for things like clothing, emergency shelter, and all those other pieces.
And just to add to that, we utilize flex funds as a last resort. So we do look for resources that are already available in the community. So when PNM was, and I believe they still are, offering support for utility assistance, we go there. We utilize LIHEAP. We utilize the new ERAP program through DFA, the mortgage finance, anything that's available. Our navigators are working with individuals to apply for those resources. If they're denied, we go to the next step, just so that, again, we can really leverage the resources that are available into the community, and help as many people as possible. And I would just like to add or end with this quote. And the quotes that were given throughout this presentation were from our navigators. And I always hold them in high esteem, because without them on the ground, working with individuals, working with each other in the organizations, not in silos, assisting each other, that's what really makes Connect what it is. Without those relationships, we would still be working in a silo. The platform definitely helps, again, to make those referrals seamlessly in real time. We're able to read notes and really stay apprised of what's happening with each case. In real time. I mean, the data that I showed earlier, I was just pulling that moments before. It's kind of at our fingertips, which is really nice. But without those relationships, it could look very different. So I just want to emphasize that. And we'll open it up for questions.
Thank you, Jennifer and Julie. That was fantastic, and I love the recent graphics with some of the data. Maybe before we jump into general questions, I wonder if you might. There's several folks in here. There's a couple folks from New Mexico Gas, PNM's Utility Energy Efficiency Program. Amanda Hatherley works with, collaborates with the MFA. How might some of these individuals and programs, what is the process to become part of your network, and what are the burdens on a program once they become a member of the Connect network?
So I see the Connect network as and I see there, I wasn't getting the questions before because I was showing my screen. So I'll try to go through those. But there is some training involved. However, I do see the Connect network more as a resource and a lift to administration than anything else. If you're an organization that's already trying to assist the community in some way, I actually see it more as a resource. But I will tell you a little bit of what's involved in becoming a network partner. First, we do vet the organizations coming on board. We do want to make sure that each organization has the individual or sees an individual as somebody that they're helping and not trying to put more burden on, such as cost. So typically the organizations are nonprofit or a free service. Once we vet the organization, we do provide training on the platform. We do require that each organization sends a representative, or what we would call a navigator, to our monthly navigation meetings to keep the rest of their team apprised of any new information or resources that are available. As far as data, it's basically in the platform. We're able to pull anything that we need, and you're able to see anything in your organization. So I don't see it as a burden, and I may be a little bit biased. And again, I would say that probably the monthly navigation meeting. However, I also see that as a resource.
Thank you. And let's just open it up to folks. There are a few questions in the chat, and if you've asked a question in the chat, why don't you you can just unmute and ask your question. And I see Steve has his hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Christian. Julie and Jennifer, that's a great presentation. You had mentioned that you use other resources, and you mentioned that PNM has the ability to help customers with assistance. And by coincidence, Drew Jones, who's also on this call, and I had a meeting just this morning regarding our assistance program and their inability to get customers to take advantage of some of the monies that the gas company has out there for people that qualify. We've got quite a bit of money that we're almost begging people to use. And so I always want to make sure that you guys are aware that just like PNM, is that there are services that we provide out there for customers to help pay their utility bills. And if you could please just keep that in mind when you're meeting with these customers, to let them know that there is money out there that we can help with.
Definitely. And if it's possible, I like to meet with you. I know that there are sometimes barriers to why people aren't applying. I would like to first speak to some of my navigators to see if they have any insight to why that might be. And then have a conversation with you to see if there's anything that we can resolve. But we would love to use your resources.
Great. Jacqueline Ulrich from Habitat.
Yeah, hi. I don't know if you'll be able to hear me okay. I might get garbled at some point just because of the internet, but I don't remember which one of you it was that mentioned, it resonated with me, that a lot of times the applicants are in crisis and they have a hard time navigating the services that are available for them. We witnessed that at Santa Fe Habitat for Humanity with our home repair program and with the new home construction. But we provide small home repair up to $60,000. Well, that's not that small, but up to $60,000 per house. We have one employee who manages that, and then we have our new home construction, which, I mean, we're always accepting applicants. So we would like to be a resource to help with the housing needs that we know are so huge.
Yes, and I know I have a few navigators that have reached out to you before. Would you mind putting in your phone number in the chat so I can give you a call?
Sure, I would love to chat with you.
And there was a question about resource directories. We do have a Connect resource directory, and those are now available in both English and Spanish. You can reach out to me and I can coordinate a pickup. It is also available electronically on the Santa Fe County Health Services website, but I know people like to have those kind of on hand. I actually have a Spanish one here on my desk, but they are available, and I'll put my phone number in the chat and my email. Jacqueline, oh, let's see. Hernan, do you want to go, I'm reading your message, but did you want to go ahead and speak more to applying for ERAP?
Yeah, I've been communicating with Renee Ward and Donnie, and they're really behind. They're trying to do the best they can, but because they've received so many applications because of dire need, they're backlogged. And I mean, I don't mean to, just downplay the work they're doing, but when we, as the Santa Fe Mutual Aid intake team members, and actually hear the stories of how much they're struggling to make ends meet and how they're fearful because they're having all these confrontations with their landlords, we are trying to see if we can help in some way to process these applications faster. I have Donnie Quintana's number, Renee Ward's number, and I've just been kind of on them as much as I can, but sometimes it's not enough because things through the state take time. So for us, what would serve best is to have something that would be more immediate, so we could provide aid for folks so that they can at least, have some money to eat or have money to, pay at least 1 month of back rent, which would really, really help us, because I mean, we're all based on donations. And we've referred a lot of folks to Connect. I personally have referred a lot of people to Connect, and it's been an incredible resource for them, but would be good to figure something out to find ways to give more immediate aid to people who are in need right now.
Right, and I've been hearing the same thing in regard to ERAP. When I first read through the application, it said that they would get back to you within 2 days. I was very hopeful that it was going to be like a 2-day or a 1-week turnaround, but I have heard quite the opposite.
Originally, what they had in the application was that depending on if they had all the documentation, it was supposed to be a 20-day turnaround. We have some people who have now been waiting for 2 months or longer. And I mean, that just puts a lot of stress on them, either because of medical conditions or, whatever's happening in their life. They can't necessarily work. So it's just making it more stressful for them and for us, because we're trying to do the best we can to assist them. So if we can find ways to get some money to these, people to pay at least 1 month back rent would be great. So.
Right. And we have been able to, so we do have, this is kind of where the flex funds come in. And depending on who has what at any given time, makes a big difference. So we have had some individuals that have applied for ERAP and are still waiting, and have been able to pay for a month or a couple months of back rent, just so that it keeps them from being evicted. And again, using those flex funds that are incorporated within our organizations. I do have a little bit of funding left till the end of this fiscal year. And we are looking to receive funds from the American Rescue Plan Act pretty soon here. Again, we're going to be focusing on our largest need, housing and utilities. It does have to be COVID related. That's something I'm starting to see change a little bit. Not everybody has a COVID related need anymore, and it's individuals just need a little bit of help. We do have some of our organizations that have access to flex funds through the county that are non-COVID related. So again, we kind of assess and try to see the situation as a whole. If there's a little bit of time, we want to wait for ERAP to come through. If we don't have as much time, maybe paying for a month to hold off a little bit. And our fiscal year ends on June 30th.
Great, thank you. Let's go to Beth, and then Dawn, and then I forget your name again, the other Jennifer Romero.
Patricia.
Yeah, I'm Patricia Boyes. Could I just speak first? Just I'm following up on what Jennifer was saying in this last question. So I'm Patricia Boyes with Santa Fe County. I'm the Health Services Director, and Connect is part of our program. I just want to say a little bit about the funding. So when Jennifer refers to the flexible funds that are part of the contracts that we have, Santa Fe County has with our providers, like Interfaith Community Shelter, like Las Cumbres, like La Familia, we embedded in those contracts, the providers do navigation, they do navigation services, and then we include a pot of money for flexible funds to do just the kinds of things that have been the subject of this past long discussion, housing, food, utilities. Those funds, so those are county funds. They're, from the county gross receipts tax, and luckily we've had a very progressive county manager and a progressive board of county commissioners who've supported some of that funding, but that's limited. And so when the CARES Act funds came through the state, and then now the American Rescue Plan funds that are coming to the county and to the city with the American Rescue Plan that Joe Biden signed in March, we will get an infusion, but those are COVID related. And so all of this, the main reason I'm bringing this up is there is a need for a bigger pot of funds for flexible funds, the wellness fund that we talked about, with donations from other organizations, from philanthropy. We'd love to have other state entities be part of this, because right now these flexible funds that we're talking about are just from the county, and they're somewhat limited. We're as generous as we can be, but that's why we try to use the state funds as much as possible. And so it is frustrating when the state is slow. The state has the money, but they're slow in being responsive and slow to get the money out. We have the responsiveness, but not as big a pot of funds. So I just wanted to make that clear, that it's not as though there's this unlimited pot within Santa Fe County. So thank you.
Yeah. So Beth Beloff, you've just answered, Patricia, some of the questions I had about the funding stream and how to make this sustainable. And I would hope there's probably a line item, might not be large, but in the budgets of the city and the county, that will support this program and make it sustainable regardless of federal funds or other funds, because it's such a terrific program. So my question, how is the Wellness Fund managed? And through that management, is there an effort to write grants and try to seek other sources of funding from the philanthropic world and other agencies?
Jennifer, do you want to speak to that? Because the Wellness Fund, it's under construction. It's in process right now at the Santa Fe Community Foundation.
Right, it is in process, and we definitely want to be able to receive grants and donations, and that's actually, one of our big pushes to get the Wellness Fund in action, because there have been several times where an organization wants to provide funds and we cannot receive them here at the county. I think the city kind of figured a little type of workaround, but a temporary one. And the hope is to apply for larger grants to keep it sustainable. Currently, between resources that are available at organizations, the resources that are available and given by city and county, and then the federal or other local funds or programs that are available are making this more and more sustainable, but we need something a little bit more streamlined and concrete.
Yeah. So will there be a fund administrator? Will the community foundation be the administrator or the fiscal agent? I'm just trying to understand how to not only develop, but maintain and grow that fund under some administrative leadership?
Definitely. We are actually looking to the Santa Fe Community Foundation right now, are in that process of, they would be the fiscal agent and overseer, or basically they would be dispersing funds. County and city leadership would be approving the payments.
Okay, great. Well, if I can help in any way, since I chair it, reach out. Second question, just a quick one. With energy burden, many people who have high energy bills don't understand, don't see the connection between energy efficiency and their bills. Don't know that through energy efficiency assistance, they can lower that burden. How would that educational process take place? Not only energy efficiency, but home repairs that may relate to that.
Right, and we have had a few requests come in for weatherization. I know there was a question in the chat about using the federal weatherization program. I do believe that our navigators are using that as a resource. And I would say that would come about through the relationship that's made by the navigator and the individual that they're serving. Slowly, as we, as a person feels comfortable, we can kind of dig in a little bit deeper. The goal of Connect is really to get to the bottom of the issue. I know during COVID, it's been a little bit more fast moving and, here's, payment for rent or here's payment for utilities, and we've been moving on a little bit quicker. But pre-COVID, and what we're trying to get back to is the heart of navigation and really working with individuals to resolve the issue. So yes, if it's, so a perfect example of what you're talking about, which happened before COVID, is I remember there was a woman who her energy bill was just high every month. And it's like, okay, what's going on? Well, her furnace was out and she was using space heaters. And in addition to that, she was unable to declutter a lot of areas. So there was space heaters everywhere, and lots of paper. So it was like a safety issue. It was a situation that didn't feel like it was going to get better unless we could fix or replace the furnace. And that's what happened. So once we did that, she had, I believe she was on Social Security at that time, and that was her only source of income. So if we can get it to a place where she's able to pay a regular energy bill, it kind of resolved that issue. So that's what we're trying to get back to again after COVID.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, Dawn.
This is Dawn with PNM, and as New Mexico Gas, Steve at New Mexico Gas Company had mentioned, we do have a COVID relief fund set up for our customers to help out with their bills. And so we do have $25 million in that account. So please have your customers reach out to us and request some help on their arrear bills. Also referring to the last individual, when they were asking about, do people make the correlation between their bill cost and energy efficiency? They may not, but we do have some programs that are available for that. In the 5th grade and in the high school, we do have a KIT program that will help educate the kids, that they will take home and do they will help do some worksheets with their parents, and those programs were also available during COVID, where they would pick up those kits from their participating schools. And that's for the 5th grade and the high school. Then we also have a low income kit program, which is online, where customers can go, if they meet the low income qualifications, they will receive a postcard in the mail. We work the LIHEAP lists, And once they receive that postcard in the mail, then they can go to the website, enter their code, and be eligible for the kit. We also have a low-income home energy checkup program we've been offering virtually to our customers because we haven't been able to be out into the field. In that program, if their refrigerator qualifies, they may be eligible to receive a free refrigerator, 10 years if it's non-Energy Star, 12 years if it's Energy Star. And we do also recycle those old units and take them off of the grid. So they do need a current unit that meets those qualifications because it is a recyclable program. It is not it is a replacement program. We also have a new home construction program that is for low-income individuals, where we help make the homes more energy efficient. We're working with the builders. Habitat for Humanity right now is taking advantage of that program. So we have those, and we also have added components to our home energy checkup program that has some low-income weatherization components, as well as some additional measures for home energy checkups for low income. We will do evaporative cooler shutdown, as well as startups. And there was a question in the chat, where do people go for the aid for the arrears that they were seeing due to COVID? They just have to call our PNM customer service. And if their account is in arrears, speak to a customer service rep and request some help on their bills. And that is for all customers. That isn't just for low income customers. And we also have some funds set aside for small businesses as well.
And Dawn,
for the energy efficiency programs, you can go to pnm.com/rebates.
Thank you, Dawn. We do refer over to PNM quite a bit and are using you all as much as possible. My daughter did come home with one of those kits, and it is being put to use. So thank you. And if you could also put your contact in the chat, that would be great, just so I can contact you and talk a little bit more about the other programs that you were speaking to.
Okay, I already put my email there. I'd also like to find out maybe from you and your navigators as well as what gaps you're seeing. That way, you know, we would like to design some new programs coming up in the future, in our future years. So I would like to find out what gaps you're seeing, and maybe we can collaborate and design some programs for the gaps that you're currently seeing.
That would be great. And now I'm starting to think this would be a great panel to have at one of our navigation meetings, maybe New Mexico Gas and PNM, and then open it up for suggestions and gaps.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. I wonder if in Philadelphia's program, one of the components is that they'll send a home assessor to a house, and that assessor would then kind of determine whether there's structural needs that need to be addressed before any energy efficiency programs. And so I wonder whether that might be something that could fit within the Connect program, and maybe organizations such as Habitat for Humanity might, let's see, I'm trying to see if it looks like Jacqueline may have dropped off. Oh no, she's still here. I wonder if that might be a component that would be useful. Or, you know, or maybe an assessor trained from the community college that could go in and see, well, you know, New Mexico Gas could take care of this, PNM could take care of this, and MFA's Energy Smart component would take care of this, and then Habitat. But before any of that could happen, Habitat's home repair program first would need to step in. So I'm just wondering whether or not there would be a role for kind of expertise in home assessment that could fit into the Connect program.
Mhm.
I am working on something similar to that. I know that, you know, it's easier for us to collaborate with New Mexico Gas just because of the way our funding sources work. But we would definitely work, you know, with anyone that would want to collaborate.
And Jacqueline, I think you just put in the chat that your home repair coordinator performs these types of home assessments already.
Yes, he does. And we have our own funding that is from the county, maybe it's from the city, I'm not sure. But yes, he goes out. First, we make sure that they qualify for the program. And then he does the assessments.
Okay.
And so Jennifer, would that mean that in order for something like that to be plugged into the Connect network, that Habitat would need to be a navigator within the Unitas platform?
So there's different ways organizations can be part of Connect. Definitely we would want the organization to be using the Unitas platform. But even prior to that happening, we have our out of network referrals. Like again, we do refer out to PNM, New Mexico Gas, ERAP. They're not using the platform right now. So in the meantime, I think this is something that we could start up as we discuss them coming into and using the platform. And I think just like anything else, you know, applying for ERAP or understanding energy efficiency, the more we offer that education, the more individuals are going to take advantage, but not necessarily something that you'd kind of do on your own or be aware about so much of the time. And that's where, you know, navigators really come in and again, build those relationships and start talking. So I think there's definitely a need, and it could, again, get to the bottom of the issue and not have it be, you know, a revolving door. When we do start to see individuals come back to us over time, then we have to, you know, sit with the navigator and say, okay, what is the issue? How do we resolve this long term?
Amanda, did you have a question?
Hi, no, it wasn't so much a question, but it was a comment that I think your idea of using like Habitat or groups like that to do some of the pre-repair work that needs to be done on a lot of low-income housing, because that's what kicks them out of being eligible for the federal weatherization assistance program. And I know there's also been an issue that there hasn't really been enough funding in that program in recent years, and there's a huge demand. And I don't know if those of you on the call have seen the Jobs Act and Biden's budget, but the funding is exponentially going to go off explode if those pass. In fact, it's numbers like right now, I think the entire country, the budget is 350 million, and it's going up to 6 billion. And then 2 billion, 2 billion, 6 billion over 5 years. I think it's $17 billion worth of funding. So as far as helping low-income people with energy efficiency retrofits, there'll be a lot of availability for that. But the issue is that a lot of homes don't qualify because of the home repair issue, like you mentioned before, Christian, about, you know, leaky roofs and that type of thing, which kicks them out from being eligible.
But it seems like Habitat's home repair fund and the work they do might really be a critical piece of this addressing low-income housing needs. Is that right?
Sounds like to me it would be a wonderful resource.
Great. There was Hernan asked the question as to whether or not some of the services that that folks are talking about only apply to homeowners, or for example, some of PNM's program or programs or New Mexico Gas, are those appropriate for renters as well?
And I think I can answer that just being because we refer so much, but they are available to renters. And again, that's like a question and why we have navigators, because there's so many different programs and eligibility requirements that it's helpful to have somebody walk along through with you, so it doesn't feel like, oh, I don't qualify for this and kind of just like forget it, I'm not going to get assistance, but like moving on to the next area. And then also having navigators that are a little bit more aware of, they wouldn't qualify for this because of whatever reason, I'm going to go and contact this organization instead. But Steve, you were about to say something as well.
Oh, I was going to say, it kind of depends. I mean, as Don said, New Mexico Gas Company has a slew of programs as well that can assist what we refer to as income qualified customers as well. And it kind of depends on which one you're looking at. Sometimes it does require that you own the home, but if not, if you're a renter of those homes, and we can work with the landlord or the homeowner as well on trying to get those services for that tenant in there. So it kind of just depends, but for the most part, you're right. I mean, just like PNM, we have programs even if you're just a renter.
There was a question about does the public become aware of some of these programs?
Sure. So one, through our partner organizations, those that are within the network. Two, through city and county. We did do quite a bit of advertisement during the pandemic. These kind of cards on Connect went out in utility bills during the pandemic. They are also dispersed at organizations. Our Connect resource directory that is widely known and picked up by many organizations has all the Connect information in here as well. So those are dispersed. Word of mouth, sometimes an individual will get assistance and then pass it along to friends and neighbors. I would say during the pandemic, we had a backlog probably of, at least 100 calls each on the city and the county side for probably a month or so, 2 months, where it was very, very busy. It has slowed down a little bit, and we try to get the word out as much as possible. But for right now, it's basically our Connect cards, our resource directories. If anybody would like to pick some of those up, please let me know, and I'd be happy to coordinate that pickup. And then there was also a question around the license fee to use the platform. So when we contracted with Unitas back in 2018, Santa Fe County really developed the platform, and we're paying a per license fee. Since then, we have grown and evolved. There is a flat fee that we pay, and for any nonprofit organization that is vetted and brought into our network, there is no fee. So any organization could have basically unlimited licenses. It is a per person license to ensure confidentiality and proper use of each license. But basically any organization that we bring in the city or county of Santa Fe, nonprofit is free. If it's a larger entity, such as a hospital or for-profit, there is a fee to come on board.
For those, there's a few folks on the call from Los Alamos, Las Cruces. What would be kind of first steps if there's a county or a city that is interested in this model in developing something like this?
Sorry, I've lost my mouse. Julie, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to say there's been quite a bit of interest with other counties joining Connect. And right now we were in the process of doing a toolkit for other counties pre-COVID. So Jennifer, I don't know if you have any updates on what that looks like.
So yes, that is true. We have a preliminary toolkit. What we ask for other counties to really think about, again, is that relationship-based model where you are able to bring together organizations and have a healthy and steady foundation before getting larger. I mean, it does take a commitment. We started with 8 organizations who were courageous enough to do something a little bit different and work out of that silo and then build from there. But we are, so we have talked to other counties and are willing to definitely walk alongside, share all of our documents, share our platform. Again, we put the cost into it already. There is a county fee for other counties coming on board, but we've already paid for the bulk of that cost. So the cost now is pretty darn minimal compared to what we put into it. So we're ready to share pretty much everything and walk alongside.
That's great. Hernan, do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to expand on what I wrote down. Are there point people who you can give us some phone numbers to connect, who act as navigators, who, because we've been doing some navigation work through mutual aid, but sometimes, we contact certain individuals, organizations, and they tell us, we had money last month, but now we're out of resources or funding. So it would be good to have some point people to connect who we can speak to, who could help us help the people we're trying to serve.
Sure. So I always refer to our hub navigators. They have a wealth of knowledge, and then also encourage the monthly navigation meetings because that's where really we're in tune to who has the money, who doesn't have the money or the resources. I do also send out information on resources that are available. So when like the PNM COVID assistance came out, we were sure to send that out to the entire network. Rent Help New Mexico, we send that out to the entire network. When an organization says, we're out of funding, I'll try to send that out so that our navigators are aware that there's no more funding at, whatever organization it is. So I can definitely give you the contacts to my hub navigators, and they're usually in tune with everything that's happening. And I believe I have your email already, so I'll be shooting you an email shortly.
Fantastic. Thank you. Are any other questions from folks?
It looks like there's a question about utility. If utility customers are paperless, do they get this info via email? Can you clarify that question a little bit?
This is Dawn, and the way that I answered that question, I think that they're asking, do we just email blitz all of our customers? And that would be a no. It would depend how the customers have their email preferences set up. And then if they're low income, only if they're LIHEAP, identified as LIHEAP customers, would they receive an email specifically for our low income assistance, if it's specifically low income. If it's like the COVID related, they may find out through a bill stuffer. And then any bill stuffers that you or I would receive in a paper form, if we have paper bills, if a person gets it paperless, those bill stuffers are in their virtual paperless bill. So I hope that answers the question. I did send her a question also privately, or an answer privately.
Yeah, for New Mexico Gas, it's basically what Don just said PNM does. Now, the one thing, again, that referring to a previous call I had this morning, Drew and I had this morning, we're doing everything we can. We put it on bill messaging, bill stuffers, some of the newsletters that go out. One of the things they said that's a little bit frustrating, if that's the right word, is that when we do try to send emails, if a customer's opted out of receiving any emails from the utility, then they're not going to get that message. And unfortunately, there's a lot of customers that do opt out of getting any emails from their utility. And so unfortunately, the emails don't reach those customers.
And in PNM's case, we have tried to run commercials that say, this COVID money is available. And, just like our EE programs, many people still do not know about them, and they've been, in existence now for 10 years. People will see the rate writer on their bill. We've done bill stuffers. They see our EE cases, as they do with New Mexico Gas as well, because, we had EE programs when PNM also had New Mexico Gas. We've had joint programs since PNM and New Mexico Gas split. So it's hard when you try to get the word out there, but typically, unless people are looking for a rebate or need a rebate, they typically may block those messages out.
I see there's another question in the chat about costs for counties to join and become a partner in Connect. And that is based on the size of the county. And so each is a little bit different. And that is likely a discussion between the county and Unite Us. And again, we'd be happy to help facilitate those conversations.
Wonderful. Well, yeah, thank you, Julie and Jennifer, and everyone else who's participated in this the conversation and questions. Really wonderful to learn much more about the Connect program, and it seems like it's already doing so much and growing and has been evolving over the past few years, and it seems like there's really a role to play around the existing programs on energy efficiency as well as home repair. So any role that the coalition can play in supporting the growth of those relationships, we're happy to play a role, and that sounds like a great next step of possibly having a panel discussion at one of your navigator meetings with some of the kind of home repair and energy efficiency implementers participating.
Thank you, Christian. That's a great idea. And I just want to put a plug in there that the city is going to be hiring a program manager for our portion of Connect. And so if you have anybody that that might be interested, in leading the Connect portion of, or the city's portion of Connect, please let me know. We'll be posting that soon.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all very much. Unfortunately, I started taping a little bit late, but I'll do a little bit of editing. And Julie and Jennifer, would it be possible to receive and post your slides along with the recording?
Yes.
Great.
And thank you for your invitation for one of the navigation meetings. We will take you up on that.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much, and look forward to the next program and continued ideas of and potential collaborations and how we can strengthen the work that benefits low-income households and impacts the environment and reduces spending. So thank you all very much, and hope you all have a good rest of your day.